All right, so today let's take a deep dive into something pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Valerie Bertinelli's journey to wellness.
Okay.
And we've got some articles here about it.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's really about so much more than just like what the scale says.
Oh, yeah. It's really fascinating, I think, because she's so open about how she, changed her mindset. You
Right.
know, she used to be all about the number on the scale.
Yeah.
And now she's embracing, a much more complete idea of wellness.
Yeah. You think about Valerie Bertinelli and you're like, oh, she's an actress.
Yeah.
But she's also, a Food Network star and cookbook author.
Right, right.
So I think all that, experience with food just adds another layer to this whole thing.
Absolutely. I mean, she talks about how she used to be
Mhm.
so fixated on dieting,
Right.
just strict dieting, and now she's much more about finding a balance
Right.
and sort of making peace with food.
Yeah.
It's not about deprivation. It's more about making choices that make her feel good,
Yeah.
in her body and her mind.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And I think it's something we can all relate to.
Oh, for sure.
Like we've all been there trying the latest fad diet,
Mm-hmm.
stressing about every single calorie.
Yeah, yeah,
But what I think is refreshing about Valerie's approach
yeah.
is that she really emphasizes sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely.
She talks about clean eating,
Yeah.
but not in that restrictive way.
Right.
Minimizing processed foods,
Mm-hmm.
but still enjoying what she eats.
Yeah.
What do you think about that approach?
I think it's super important. I mean, we live in a world that's obsessed with quick fixes.
Right.
But true wellness is about making these gradual changes that you can actually keep up.
Yeah.
And one thing that really stood out to me was how she found a way to make exercise fun. She loves to dance.
Oh, wow.
And that's how she stays active.
Oh, that's great.
It doesn't feel like a chore to her,
Right.
It's about finding something that you actually like to do,
Yeah.
which I think is a really important takeaway for anybody.
Oh, I think that's so true because we often forget
Yeah.
that exercise doesn't have to be like a punishment.
Right.
It can be fun and it could be something that makes you feel good.
Absolutely.
And it's not all about the physical stuff either.
Right.
Valerie's really open about her, journey with her emotional health,
Yeah.
especially going through a divorce and dealing with emotional eating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are things that so many people struggle with.
Oh, yeah. Her willingness to be so vulnerable is really powerful.
Yeah.
She talks about going to therapy
Right.
and how much it's helped her to understand those emotional triggers
Yeah.
and learn better ways to deal with them.
Yeah. And I think sometimes there's a stigma around therapy,
Oh, for sure.
but she makes it seem normal.
Yeah, she normalizes it.
Yeah.
It's okay to ask for help. Mm-hmm. It's actually a sign of strength,
Right.
not weakness.
Totally agree. And I think that's so important for people to hear.
It is, and it ties into this bigger message that she has about self-compassion. She talks about how she used to be so hard on herself,
Right.
but now she's learning to be nicer to herself,
Yeah.
and just embrace her imperfections.
That's a great message.
It is, and it resonates with so many people,
Yeah.
especially those who've been through similar struggles
It's so true. I mean, we beat ourselves up for not being perfect,
all the time.
but it's just not realistic.
Yeah,
And Valerie's embracing the whole journey.
exactly.
The ups and the downs.
Mm,
And I think that's something we can all learn from.
definitely. She even talks about how 172 pounds was her heaviest.
Okay.
But it's not about the number.
Right.
It's about the progress she's made,
Yeah.
both physically and mentally.
Yeah.
And I think that shift in perspective is really empowering for people.
It's about the journey, not the destination.
Exactly.
And this whole idea of a quick fix, she really pushes back against that.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, I've tried them. They don't work.
Mm,
You see that with all the talk about Ozempic?
yeah. Yeah, it is kind of interesting how that whole Ozempic thing became such a big deal.
Right.
Because there's no proof that she's actually using it.
Yeah.
And it kind of takes away from what she's really trying to say,
Right.
which is all about making these, bigger changes to how you live your life.
Totally. And I think
Yeah.
it's easy to get caught up in all the hype about a miracle drug or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
But Valerie's approach is much more down to earth.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's about understanding the connection between
Right.
what you eat, how you feel, and your overall well-being.
Absolutely.
And she's not afraid to talk about the hard stuff either.
Yeah.
Like how stress and emotional eating used to be a big part of her life.
And I think that's what makes her story so relatable.
Right.
She's not just like preaching from some perfect place, you know, she's
Yeah.
sharing her own struggles and how she's learning to deal with them.
Right.
Like in one of the articles, she talks about how going to therapy helped her see those patterns, like why she was doing certain things,
Yeah.
and then figure out healthier ways to deal with stress.
Mhm.
It wasn't about like restricting herself, you know?
Right. Yeah.
It was more about understanding what was causing those behaviors,
Yeah.
and finding other things to do like dancing or going out in nature.
That makes total sense. You know, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
getting to the root of the problem instead of just treating the symptoms.
exactly.
And I think that's where her message really connects with people.
I agree.
It's not about being perfect.
Yeah.
It's about finding what works for you and building a way of being healthy that you can actually stick with.
It's a journey, right? It's not like you reach some goal and you're done.
Right.
It's about making these changes a part of your life.
It's about that long-term commitment to taking care of yourself.
Exactly.
And I love that she emphasizes the mental and emotional parts of it all.
Yes.
It's not just about what you eat or how much you exercise.
Right?
It's about feeling good about yourself.
Yeah.
Like inside and out.
I totally agree. And you know what I think is so inspiring about her story?
Yeah.
Is that she's not afraid to show her vulnerable side. Like,
Right.
even someone who's been famous for so long
Right.
still goes through tough times
Yeah.
and figures out how to get through them.
Yeah.
It makes her message seem more real, and I think people can relate to that.
Totally. And she talks about mindfulness too,
Oh, yeah.
which I think is so important.
It is.
It's about being present in your body,
Yeah.
you know, paying attention to your thoughts and feelings without judging them.
Right.
It's like tuning in to what your body needs
Yeah.
instead of always trying to live up to what other people expect.
And it goes hand in hand with self-compassion,
Okay.
which she talks about a lot.
Yeah.
It's about treating yourself with the same kindness that you would treat a friend.
Uh-huh.
So instead of beating yourself up when you mess up,
Yeah.
it's about accepting it, learning from it, and moving on. Which is so important because, you know, we live in a culture that's always telling us to criticize ourselves.
It's like this radical act of self-love when you really think about it.
It is, and it's something we can all work on no matter where we're starting from.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so hopeful about Valerie's story.
Yeah.
It shows that it's never too late to start learning about yourself and making changes that help you feel better.
It's about taking back that power to choose how you want to feel,
Exactly.
both physically and emotionally.
Yes.
And, you know, thinking about all this, it makes me wonder,
Yeah.
like, what parts of Valerie's approach really speak to you? What stands out as something that you could bring into your own life?
You know what's funny is that one of the things that I thought was really interesting
Yeah.
was how much she talked about finding joy in this whole process.
Right.
You know, it's not about making yourself follow some strict routine.
Yeah.
It's about finding the things that make you feel good. Like
Yeah.
for her, it's dancing and being outside.
Right.
It's all those little things that add up and make it easier to stick with it.
Yeah. You know, that actually reminds me of something she said in one of these articles
Oh, yeah.
about how she used to think of exercise as like a punishment. Like it had to be this hard workout or it didn't count.
Right, right.
But now she's all about just moving her body in ways that feel good. It's like she's rediscovering the fun of moving,
Yeah.
which I think is great.
Totally. And I think that change in how she looks at it is so important.
I agree.
Instead of focusing on what we think we should be doing, it's about listening to our bodies and our minds.
Right.
You know, maybe it's going for a walk. Maybe it's taking a dance class.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just stretching at home.
Yeah.
The point is to let ourselves enjoy it.
It's about making those choices from a place of self-care,
Yes.
not self-criticism.
Exactly.
And you know, it's not just about moving your body either.
Right.
She talks about how even little things,
Yeah.
like cooking a healthy meal,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
taking a few minutes to meditate,
Yeah.
those can be really powerful ways to show yourself some love.
Absolutely. It's about adding those little things into your day that make you feel good.
Exactly.
It's about creating a life that feels right for you.
Right.
A life that matches your values and what you think is important.
Yeah. And I think that's what leads to a sense of well-being that goes beyond just the physical.
I agree. It's about finding that inner peace,
Uh-huh.
that feeling of being content.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Valerie Bertinelli's journey to wellness,
Yeah.
it's clear that it's about so much more than just the number on the scale.
Oh, definitely.
It's about taking care of your whole self.
Yes. It's about finding what works for you
Yeah.
being kind to yourself along the way, and remembering that wellness is not a destination.
Right.
It's like a journey.
Right.
It's a lifelong adventure of figuring yourself out.
I love that.
So maybe instead of trying to be perfectly healthy,
Yeah.
we can all learn from Valerie and focus on creating a life that feels good.
Right.
A life that celebrates who we are, even with all our flaws.
I think that's a great message to leave our listeners with.
I hope so.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
And remember, your journey to well-being is your own, and it goes at your own pace.